Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real tonight. Most people don't miss out on blessings because they aren't talented. They miss out because they never ask. They sat quietly hoping life would read their mind. They prayed silently but moved fearfully. And the truth is this: asking is not begging, asking is believing. Asking is not a sign of weakness. It is one of the strongest expressions of faith a human being can make. When you ask, you are declaring that you believe something exists beyond what your eyes can currently see. You are admitting that you don't have all the answers, and that admission takes courage. Weakness is pretending you don't need help. Strength is recognizing that you were never designed to do everything alone. Faith begins the moment you open your mouth and say, "I believe there is more for me than this." A lot of people struggle with asking because their pride gets in the way. Pride tells you that you should already have it figured out, that needing help makes you look small. But faith says something different. Faith says, "I trust the source that created me." When you ask, you are not lowering yourself, you are aligning yourself. You are stepping into agreement with the idea that life has order, purpose, and provision. Asking is not about desperation, it's about expectation. Think about it this way: if you truly believe that something is possible, why wouldn't you ask for it? Silence doesn't protect you. Silence doesn't make you humble. Silence keeps you invisible. Faith speaks. Faith knocks. When you ask, you activate movement, you create momentum. You send a signal that you are ready to receive. Nothing changes until something is requested. Fear is another reason people avoid asking. Fear of rejection, fear of disappointment, fear of hearing no. But faith understands that rejection is not a verdict on your worth. It's just part of the process. Every no is information, not humiliation. Faith gives you the confidence to ask again, to adjust, to grow, to keep moving forward without shrinking yourself. Asking also requires honesty. You have to be honest about what you want, what you need, and where you are lacking. Many people pray vague prayers and then wonder why nothing specific shows up. Faith is clear. Faith is bold enough to name the desire. When you ask clearly, you clarify your direction. You stop drifting and start aiming. There is also humility in asking, and humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking accurately about yourself. It's understanding that talent alone is not enough, effort alone is not enough, and strength alone is not enough. You were designed to rely on something greater than yourself. Asking reconnects you to that truth. The moment you ask, you step out of passive hoping and into active believing. You stop waiting for life to guess what you want and start participating in the process. Asking doesn't guarantee immediate results, but it guarantees engagement. It puts you in motion. It puts faith to work. And once faith is working, things begin to shift, even if you can't see it yet. Fear and pride are the two quiet forces that stop people from asking for what they want, even when they know they deserve more. Pride convinces you that you should already have it all figured out, that needing help somehow lowers your value. Fear whispers that if you ask and fail, the disappointment will be too heavy to carry. Together, they keep people stuck in the same place year after year, silently hoping instead of boldly believing. Pride often wears a respectable mask. It looks like independence, self-reliance, and toughness. But underneath pride is often insecurity. It's the fear of being seen as not enough. When you refuse to ask, you are not protecting your dignity, you are protecting your ego. Faith requires vulnerability. It requires you to admit that you don't control everything, and that admission can be uncomfortable. But growth never happens inside comfort. Fear works differently. Fear doesn't shout, it suggests. It says, what if you ask and nothing happens? Or what if you get rejected? Or what if you look foolish? Fear focuses your attention on outcomes you cannot control instead of the obedience you can. It paralyzes action by magnifying imagined failure. Faith, on the other hand, doesn't deny risk. It simply refuses to let risk be the decision maker. Many people confuse waiting with faith when in reality they are just avoiding rejection. They say, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. But faith is not passive. Faith moves first. Faith asks even when the answer is uncertain. Fear waits for guarantees and life rarely offers those. If you demand certainty before you act, you will remain in the same place indefinitely. Pride also convinces people to suffer silently. They struggle financially, emotionally, spiritually, but refuse to speak up. They carry burdens that were never meant to be carried alone. Asking for help doesn't expose weakness, it reveals wisdom. The strongest people are not the ones who never need help, but the ones who know when to reach for it. Fear and pride also distort how people interpret rejection. A closed door becomes a personal insult instead of a redirection. Faith understands that rejection is not rejection of you, it's rejection of timing, fit, or readiness. When you remove pride from the equation, rejection loses its power to wound you. When you remove fear, rejection loses its power to stop you. Asking requires courage, not confidence. Confidence often comes after action, not before it. The act of asking builds confidence because it proves to you that you are capable of stepping beyond your comfort zone. Every time you ask despite fear, you weaken fear's hold on you. When pride is replaced with humility and fear is replaced with faith, asking becomes natural. You stop measuring your worth by outcomes and start measuring it by obedience. And once fear and pride step aside, the path forward becomes clearer, lighter, and full of possibility. Faith without action is just belief sitting still, and belief that never moves will never produce results. Many people say they have faith, but their daily habits tell a different story. They pray for change but repeat the same routines. They ask for opportunity but avoid preparation. They hope for a breakthrough but refuse to step into discomfort. Faith was never meant to be passive. Faith was designed to move, to work, to stretch you beyond what feels safe. Action is the language faith understands. When you take a step, even a small one, you are telling the universe, telling God, telling yourself that you believe something is possible. Waiting for motivation before acting is a mistake, because action often creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't feel ready and then move, you move and then readiness catches up. Faith works the same way. You act, and belief grows stronger through experience. A lot of people misunderstand faith as patience alone. They think faith means sitting quietly and trusting that everything will fall into place. But faith is not inactivity. Faith is alignment between what you say you believe and what you are willing to do. If you believe doors will open, you still have to walk toward them. If you believe your life can improve, you still have to change how you think, how you work, and how you respond to challenges. Action also reveals sincerity. It's easy to say you believe something when nothing is required of you. But when belief demands effort, sacrifice, or risk, that's when faith becomes real. Action tests belief and strengthens it at the same time. Every step you take reinforces the idea that you are not just hoping for a better future, you are participating in creating it. There is also fear attached to action because action makes outcomes visible. As long as you don't act, you can imagine success without risking failure. But faith is not afraid of failure. Faith understands that failure is part of learning, not proof of inadequacy. Action teaches you what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change. Without action, you remain in theory. With action, you gain experience. Action doesn't mean knowing every step in advance. It means taking the next step with what you have right now. Faith does not require a full plan, only obedience to the next instruction. Many people delay action because they want clarity before commitment. Faith reverses that order. Commitment comes first, clarity follows. When you combine faith with action, momentum begins. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence fuels consistency, and consistency creates results. This is how transformation happens, not through wishing, but through movement. Faith that moves your feet changes your life. Delays can be deeply frustrating, especially when you have asked with sincerity and believed with your whole heart. When time passes and nothing seems to change, it's easy to assume the answer was no. But delay does not mean denial. Delay often means development. It means something is happening beneath the surface that you cannot yet see. Just because the result hasn't arrived doesn't mean the request wasn't heard. Many people quit too early because they misinterpret silence as rejection. But silence is often instruction to keep going, to keep growing, to keep trusting. Think about how many things in life take time to mature. A seed does not become a tree overnight. If you dig it up every day to check if it's growing, you will destroy the process. Faith requires patience. Not because patience feels good, but because patience protects the promise. Delays reveal what you truly believe. When things don't happen quickly, excuses start to sound reasonable, doubt starts to feel logical. But faith understands that timing has a purpose. Some blessings arrive late because arriving early would have caused damage. You might have received what you wanted, but lost yourself in the process. Delay often saves you from outcomes you were not prepared to handle. There is also refinement in delay. Waiting exposes areas that still need growth, attitude, discipline, consistency, humility. If everything came instantly, character would never develop. Strength is built in resistance, not ease. Delay stretches your faith muscles. It teaches you how to trust without constant reassurance. It teaches you how to keep showing up even when results are invisible. Many people confuse urgency with importance. They want what matters most to arrive immediately, but what matters most often requires time. Delay ensures depth. It ensures that when the blessing comes, you will know how to keep it, protect it, and appreciate it. Fast results can excite you, but prepared results sustain you. Delay also teaches gratitude. When you have waited long enough, you stop taking things for granted. You recognize the value of what finally arrives. You handle it differently. You respect it. You steward it better. Waiting changes how you receive. If you trust that delay is part of the process, you stop rushing the outcome and start focusing on growth. You shift from, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" to, "What am I becoming while I wait?" That shift changes everything. Because once you understand that delay is not denial, waiting no longer feels like punishment. It feels like preparation. Timing plays a role that many people underestimate because most people focus only on the reward and not on the responsibility that comes with it. When something arrives too early, it can overwhelm you instead of blessing you. That's why timing is often less about the opportunity and more about the person receiving it. Before the reward shows up, character has to be shaped. Strength has to be built. Perspective has to mature. Timing works on the inside before it changes things on the outside. Many people ask for success without realizing that success exposes who you really are. It magnifies habits, attitudes, and weaknesses. If discipline is missing, success will expose it. If humility is missing, success will reveal it. Timing gives you space to grow into the version of yourself that can handle what you're asking for. What looks like waiting is often training. Character is developed in the unseen moments. It's built when nobody is clapping, when progress feels slow, and when effort seems unnoticed. These moments teach patience, consistency, and resilience. Without them, rewards become fragile. Timing ensures that when recognition comes, it doesn't change who you are, it confirms who you've become. People often think they're ready because they want something badly. But desire is not readiness. Readiness comes from preparation, self-awareness, and discipline. Timing allows life to remove immaturity before it hands over responsibility. It teaches you how to manage disappointment, how to stay grounded, and how to keep working without immediate payoff. There's also humility formed in timing. Waiting reminds you that you are not in full control. It teaches surrender without passivity. You still work, you still ask, you still believe, but you release the demand to control how and when it happens. That humility keeps success from becoming arrogance when it finally arrives. Timing also sharpens discernment. When you've waited, you learn to recognize what aligns with your purpose and what doesn't. You stop chasing every opportunity and start choosing the right ones. That clarity protects you from distractions that look good but lead nowhere. When character is shaped before reward, stability follows success. You don't panic when challenges appear because you've already endured waiting. You don't rush decisions because you've learned patience. Timing equips you with emotional strength, not just material gain. What you receive matters, but who you are when you receive it matters more. Timing ensures alignment between the two. It creates balance between ambition and wisdom, desire and discipline, faith and maturity. And when those things align, The reward doesn't just arrive, it lasts. Gratitude and persistence are often overlooked, but they are powerful forces that unlock what asking begins. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is already working. When you acknowledge what you have, you change your internal posture. You move from lack to abundance, from frustration to trust. Gratitude doesn't deny that you want more, it simply recognizes that you've already been carried this far. Many people think gratitude should come after the blessing arrives, but faith-based gratitude comes before. It says, "I'm thankful not just for what I see, but for what I believe is on the way." That mindset keeps your heart open during waiting seasons. Complaining closes your spirit. Gratitude keeps it receptive. You cannot stay grateful and hopeless at the same time. Persistence works alongside gratitude. Asking once is hope, asking consistently is belief. Persistence is not about forcing an outcome, it's about refusing to quit. Life tests seriousness. If you give up at the first obstacle, the desire was shallow. Persistence proves depth. It shows that what you're asking for is worth effort, patience, and endurance. There will be moments when persistence feels pointless, when progress is slow, when doors stay closed, when silence stretches longer than expected. Those moments are not invitations to quit, they are invitations to grow stronger. Persistence teaches stamina. It builds mental toughness. It trains you to continue even when encouragement is absent. Gratitude keeps persistence from turning into bitterness. Without gratitude, persistence becomes exhausting. With gratitude, it becomes purposeful. You stop measuring progress only by results and start recognizing growth in character. You realize that something valuable is happening even if the outcome hasn't arrived yet. Gratitude also attracts perspective. When you regularly acknowledge small wins, you begin to see patterns of progress you would have otherwise ignored. That awareness fuels persistence. You keep going because you can see evidence that movement is happening even if it's slow. Persistence also teaches you how to trust yourself. Every time you keep going instead of quitting, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of endurance. That confidence becomes part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who starts things and gives up. You begin to see yourself as someone who finishes. When gratitude and persistence work together, asking becomes a journey instead of a transaction. You're no longer just focused on receiving, you're focused on becoming. You remain thankful, you remain consistent, and you remain committed. And that combination keeps you aligned, steady, and open to receive what you've been asking for.